ino-observe namin, they had 4 or 5 appearances, iba-ibang statement every single time. At this particular person, itong lumabas last time, nung una niyang statement, nagbigay siya sa residence ko. Sinabi niya with a straight face, 6 na maleta daw. Then this time, sinabi niya dun daw sa headquarters ng Magdalo. With a straight face din. So, yun na yun. That alone shatters the whole thing. Then early on, ang sinasabi na 2 maleta. Ang nakalagay daw sa isang maleta is $1 million. Isa, so $2 million. Ngayon, 6 na maleta, they can't get the story straight. Ngayon, to answer your question, bakit ako nata-target na ganito? Because they have identified me as one of the driving force dito sa habol sa mga Duterte, to make them accountable. And these are very powerful people with evil intentions, not only for me but for the country. Kaya they won't stop. Sisiraan nila, hindi lang ako, kung hindi yung ICC. Dudungisan yung reputasyon ng ICC investigation. Then, for sure, gagamitin ito nung kanilang abogado sa The Hague to discredit the whole investigation na all of these things are compromised at gawa-gawa lang. These things did not start nitong Marcos administration. So what about nung mga panahon na yun? They made a specific allegation, kaya nga mali-maleta, kasi supposed to be, binigay ko sa ICC to bribe them. Hindi ba absurd yun? Paano naman yun? Tapos dollars, those who have been traveling, na mahirap maglabas niyang ganyang kalalaking amount. Paano? Binigay ko daw para ituloy yung kaso. That's it eh. Ngayon, ito yung isipin nila. Bukod sa, una-una siguro kung totoo yan, ang hihingi nila sa akin, EU, yung euro. Di ba? Kasi ba't pa sila magpapapalit? Pero, ano yan? Kumaga, seriously, how can they, di ba? How can I even begin to offer or to bribe them? These are very, kumaga, professionals itong mga to. Europeans yan. Talagang hindi mo masusulan yan. And that goes to the next point, na kung kaya ko siyang suhulan sila, don't you think sila Duterte ginawa yun? And they can offer so much more than I can offer. So ano lang ito? This is a diversion, a distraction. This is not the first time they made such allegations against me. Remember, binenta ko Rayon Scarborough. Si Digong mismo nagsasabi nito. And they believed it, yung kanyang cult. Meron daw akong overseas bank accounts. Diba? Pinaniwalaan niya. Pati nga daw yung kanyang cult followers, they believe these things. They hold on to these things. And ito yung point, di ba? The 6 years na Duterte administration, kumaga, they comb through everything, lahat ng transactions ko, everything about my past. And they can't even come up with a single case that they can file against me. So, I'm not saying I'm an angel, di ba? Okay. But, as far as public service record is concerned, titindigan ko yan. They will have to look at my whole public service record. And I can trace that. Nung nagsimula ako, pumasok ako sa public service when I entered PMA, for some reason, I ended up being the chairman of the honor committee. Yun yung nag-i-instill ng mga values such as not lie, cheat, steal, nor tolerate those who do. Events that led to the Oakwood incident, tapos nilabanan namin si Gloria. 7.5 years yun na nakakulong pa nga ako ilang years under kay Duterte. Mas mabigat yun. Diba? We were fighting a president behind bars. So, yun eh. I think it's a cross between a crusade and an advocacy. I believe you wouldn't be talking to me if I'm crazy, right? Siguro ganun lang. Nagkaroon ng kaibahan dun sa pagpasok ng social media. Dati kasi mainstream media ang primary source ng information. At sa mainstream media, meron kayong journalism ethics eh. 'Di ba? You don't go out deliberately saying outright lies, 'di ba? Fini-filter nyo 'yan, inaayos nyo 'yan. Kaso na nagkaroon na ng itong advent of social media age, nung inintroduce ng mga Dutertes ang fake news, 'di ba? To deceive people. Yan na, yung propaganda machinery nila. May troll farms yan sila. That's how Duterte won. Biruin mo, sa sobrang effective nung fake news factory nila, they were able to package Davao City as the safest city in the world. Pero based on records, nung time na yon, kasi dinidebunk ko yung statement na yon, according sa PNP mismo, Davao City is actually the most dangerous. Kasi number 1 siya sa murder at number 1 sa rape. Rape and murder ito. So how can they say that? Pero nakita mo sila Duterte, sila Cayetano, when they say it, they are so believable, ano? Kasi with conviction, at yung mga Pilipino noon, hindi sanay sa mga politikong nagbe-bare face lie. So pananghawakan nila, they assume that these people should be telling the truth. Kaya ganun ang nahirapan kami. And because of that, nagkaroon ng aside dun sa ano nila, no, yung sa the whole government apparatus, so when they got in, they turned it into a propaganda machine, ano, yung fake news factory nila. Tapos, dahil dyan, from supporters, naging cult followers. Alam nyo naman, pag umabot ang isang tao sa cult following level, hindi na basta-basta maniniwala yan. So, ang target namin dito, just keep on telling the truth. Makuha mo yung mga moderates, yung mga unay, mga neutral, mga then yung mga soft followers, then eventually, yung cult followers, ano na lang yan, they will fade away. Yes, we've been tracking this sa surveys. Similar to what we did with the former Vice President Binay. So when we were investigating, that's what we're up against. Pero non mainstream media lang. Kaya nung nire-report namin yung sa investigation, nire-report nyo, walang kumukontra in between. So nung eventually, nung nire-report namin yung Hacienda Binay, it was so graphic, nakita ng mga tao, ay, totoo pala. So, bumitaw na sila. Ngayon, ang nahihirapan kasi, while nire-report ng mainstream media, pero yung kanilang fake news, sinasabi, ganito, iba, ano yan, kasinungalingan yan, ganito. Iba yung So, dun sa algorithm nila, yun ang nakikita nila eh. Yung kanilang version of the truth. I think, ang pinakang difference dito, sa akin, I'm just being consistent with my advocacy. Magka-align yung interest namin noon, so kasama siya. Pero sa kanya, personal interest niya to be on the other side. So dito lumalabas, nung magkasama kami kay Binay, it was just convenient for him because it was aligned to his personal political interest. Pero ngayon, nung sumama siya doon sa puwersa na yon, lumabas yung tunay na kaanyuhan niya. He is just for himself. No? Yung interest lang niya, yung pinaglalaban niya, hindi naman talaga siya galit sa korupsyon the way he projected himself nung investigation against VPB. Alam nyo, if you would meet Senator Cayetano, Alan Cayetano, for the first time, madidisarm ka dyan. He is soft-spoken, tapos may religious siya, na projection. Pagkakain kayo niyan, may prayer before meals na nakapikit, tapos hawak kamay pa kayo. So, alam niyo naman tayo, yung mga Pilipino, growing up, pag kayo mga religious na mga tao, inaano niya yan nag-defer ka kasi you're not as religious as they are. So, parang binibigyan nyo sila ng konting respeto. Pero, later on, nakikita ko na may mga signs na he will say things na hindi niya talaga ginagawa. yung outright lies na alam niya ng kasinungalingan pero sasabihan niya yan sa'yo with so much conviction na parang ikaw na magdududa sa sarili mo. Ano bang, parang, alam mo yan nga, that's the very definition of gaslighting. You would even doubt yourself kung parang ikaw ba yung mali. Kasi he speaks with so much conviction. Pero kasinungalingan. But even that is incidental. He is benefiting primarily himself, then ngayon aligned sila. Pero what I'm saying is, at a certain point, magda-diverge din yung interest niyan. Then yung interest pa rin niya yung mangingibabaw. Kasi titignan nyo yung history ni Alan. Kasi nga, that's what we do. We profile people, we decode them para ma-predict namin where they're going, kung anong decision-making process nila. Pag trinace mo yan si Cayetano, alam mo ba nung start nung GMA administration, ano yan, panayang sip-sip niyan dun sa kay GMA, tsaka kay Mike Arroyo, Tito Mike ang tawag niyan, yung ano yan, lalambing na ganon. I can imagine this guy growing up, he is confident that he can always talk himself into getting what he wants. So, ando doon yan. Nakuha nila yung support, nasama sa slate si Pia Cayetano, then, pondo for the campaigns. Then, when it was convenient for him to cut ties with the Arroyos because deadweight na, binira niya ng husto yun. Ngayon, ganun din with the Enriles. Growing up, tito-tito rin yan, ganyan. Then, when it was convenient, binira din niya. Diba? He also did that to Pinoy. Tapos, at some point, even kay Duterte, ginawa niya yun. Nung sa speakership niya, his term was about to finish. He lobbied kay Sara Duterte, pero inisnab siya, no? He was turned away. Punta siya ngayon kay Digong. Si Digong, sinasabihan siya na i-honor mo yung... So siya, even siya, sinabihan na siya nung patron niya at that time. Pero dinify pa rin niya. When it's all about power, nag-iibang anyo nito niya. So ngayon, biruin mo, pinadlock niya yung session hall ng House. Just to prevent na mapalitan siya. He was buying some time because he was confident he can still talk his way into convincing Digong na manatili siya sa pwesto. So yan si Alan Cayetano. Nakita nyo siya, no? Yung skill niya na ile-layer niya yung kanyang kasinungalingan with Bible verses, legal jargon, tapos and he would speak with conviction. Very fluent siya mag-Tagalog, very fluent siya mag-English. So yung ano niya na yon, talent niya na yon, ginagamit niya. Kumaga, para nga mapagtakpan yung kasinungalingan. Nandito pa rin sa Pilipinas, no? We're getting different reports na vina-validate namin carefully kasi mahirap magkamali dyan. But at least now, everybody's on the lookout. Ngayon, the most effective way sa pagkuha ng mga ganyang high-profile fugitives, magkaroon ng reward system. Yung, I wouldn't want to call it bounty, but technically that's how it's within the agencies Dapat itong DILG secretary, yun ang gawin niya. Kasi yung intel funds, that's basically it. You're buying information. Diba? Alam niyo ilang Abu Sayyaf commanders ang niya, biruin mo, mas mahirap hanapin yung mga yon, armado pa yon, but when there's a reward, talagang nangyayari yon. So, hindi pa ginagawa. Kaya, maki-question ko tong si Secretary Remulla na baka hindi to seryosong hanapin ito. Because last year pa, nilik na nga nung kapatid niya Ombudsman Boying Remulla, na may warrant. Alam niya for a fact na may warrant kasi alam nung kapatid niya. Alam nung PNP chief na may warrant kasi pinapahanap na sa kanila noon pa, quietly. Hindi niya hinanap. Tapos nung nandoon na sa Senate, nung nagkagulo-gulo na, he was there. Kausap niya na. Sabi niya he wasn't there to arrest. Bakit? 'Di ba? O sige, sabihin mo para to to pacify the situation. Pero dapat naglagay ka ng detail, tapos yung labas dapat nag-cordon ka na. Because sooner or later, that order for him to arrest Bato would come. 'Di ba? Pero talagang ganon, pinabayaan. Because nung time na yon, nag-umano na siya eh. Tumakas na siya doon sa mga arresting officers doon sa garahe. Tumakbo na siya. Tapos, nagpalit na ng Senate leadership. And by the way, side ko lang, si Senator Soto, nung nakita niyang may 30 na, he graciously stepped aside out of respect dun sa institution, di ba, yung tradition. Anyway, nung time na yun kasi, magulo na yung situation. They were trying to, the NBA was being prevented from arresting Bato. Tapos, yung public at large, the media, was confused. Ano ba yung, bakit inaaresto? Ano bang Kaya ako naman yung nakikita nila doon, o tinanong lang, Sir, bakit kayo nandito at bakit inaaresto si Bato? So doon ko in-explain. Kaya siya inaaresto kasi may ICC warrant. I know about the warrant, di ba? So, ang tanong doon, bakit hindi alam ni John B. Cremulya? He was so incompetent na hindi niya alam. Ako nga alam ko, I was there eh. The NBI was there, bakit hindi niya alam? The Monday was the actual attempt to arrest. Doon siya tumakbo si Bato. That was a Monday. So ngayon, and alam ko rin na may warrant of arrest, alam ko rin na arestuin siya. So, yung challenge niya sa akin, to be there when that happened. Then, I was there. Ngayon, imaginein mo yung point of view ng mga nanonood, tsaka yung media. Bakit inahabol si anong nangyari? So, nung sinabi ko, hindi, kasi meron na siyang arrest warrant yung ICC. Pero sabi ng media, pero a few days before, sabi lang nila, walang public warrant yung precisely. Wala siyang public warrant, pero meron siyang sealed warrant. Sir, pero ba kayong kopya, gano'n-gano'n? Pinakita ko. So, di ba? Doon lang nila naintindihan kaya kung bakit inaaresto si Bato. Because of the ICC warrant. Tapos, syempre, may mga medyang late dumating. Nakita lang nila, I was holding the ICC warrant. So, parang ako yung nagsaserve. So, ngayon, natural yung mga DDS followers. Ngayon, pinaniniwalaan na nung mga senador nila Marcoleta, ganun. Hindi. The ICC warrant was with the NBI the whole time. Nung inaaresto pa lang sa garahe. Ang tingin ko kasi dito, it's any or all of the three. It's either, natatakot siya sa mga Dutertes, kinukort niya yung, ayaw niya yung makuha yung wrath ng Duterte cult. Pangalawa, compromised siya. Meaning he's playing both sides now, di ba? Playing both sides. Or pangatlo, he is grossly incompetent. And I believe it's all of the three. Hindi naman po, diyan lang siguro yung alingaw-ngaw sa social media. But there was never an offer. If that would be the reason kung bakit hindi offer sa'yo, ibig sabihin, it was never mine to begin with. Kasi, gagawin ko pa rin yun eh. All over, di ba? Kasi, alam niyo yung cathartic effect ng mapadala itong sila Digong, sila Bato after all those years na pinapursue itong case. Yun eh. It's not for me per se, kasi naman yan, but it's as a symbolism for all the effort. Hindi lang naman kasi ako nagsakripisyo nito. Maraming tumulong, maraming naging part nitong nito. Not with Secretary Remulla at the helm. Hindi niya talaga alam gagawin niya. Ako nga, publicly, offload ko na, maglagay kayo ng reward. Gawin niyo yan. Mag-uunahan yan. There is supposed to be this group na nag-oversee ng process. At kinausap nila yung mga prospective candidates. So they asked Mayor Leni Robredo, and definitively, categorically, she said she won't run. Doon daw siya sa Naga, tatapusin niya in 3 terms. Ako naman. Si Senator Bam is non-committal. Pinag-isipan pa, gano'n. So, that leaves us with only one candidate left willing to submit to that process. So, that short-circuited the whole thing. Wala nang pagpipilian. Kasi walang gusto sumali doon sa proseso except Senator Risa. No. Inantay namin yung decision nung mga we wanted to join that process. Wala eh. Sabi ko, teka muna, magkumagaan-antay na naman tayo. This is 2022 all over again. Ayaw na namin yan. So, pag nagsabi na, di tinanong, I think nagtanungan sila sometime in March. At doon na yun, nalaman na, okay, hindi na raw talaga tatakbo. So what are we waiting for? Eto na, let's go. Para lang masimulan na to. So nag-usap kami ng iba't ibang groups, Akbayan and the others. Tayo na, let's start the whole process kasi we would be overtaken by event. Kaming mga groups, kasi kilala nyo naman si Senator Risa, she would be very, very gracious and kumaga may deference siya kay Mayor Lenny and the others. So, she wouldn't want to promote herself. Kaso sabi ko, hindi na to. Ang tanong, yung openness niya is enough for us. Ganito, no? Yung mga nagsasabi kasi niyan, they are not speaking on behalf of Mayor Lenny. It's just a wishful thinking. Pag tinanong mo, nakausap mo ba? Hindi. Itong mga kumausap, there is a group of prominent personalities na tinanong siya directly. Parang nga mawala na yung agam-agam. Sinabi niya, I will not run. Period. Kayo lang yung makulit. Sinasabi ko na dati pa ayoko, yun na yan. So that was it. Respetuhin na natin yung desisyon, then yun. Yung kaaantay mo ng ganyan, kailan aabutin tayo next year, by then you have lost a year of preparation. Ground preparation, iba to, presidency ito. Nung early on, when we had a conversation about yung willing to explore the possibility of running 2028, sinasabi ko yun, na ang concern sa'yo is you are too progressive. Okay yan as a senator, as an advocate. Tama yan kasi kailangan mong i-push. But if you want to serve the country in general, you have to be mainstream. You have to be willing to accommodate to everyone. Hindi na lang yung pinopromote mo o tinutulak mo na sektor. Kasi ganun siya eh. So kailangan, sabi ko, that's a decision that she would have to make once ready na siya to jump into the ring. I would like to believe dalawa yan eh. Yung accountability and yung 2028. Kasi meron tayong mekanismo na impeachment eh. To make people accountable. Meron ba siyang ginawa? Inimbento ba namin itong mga issues na ito? Nakita nyo naman yung mga ebidensya ron. 257 congressmen endorsed it at the risk of their own lives. Kasi pag nanalo si Sara, durog din sila. Diba? Kung nakita nilang malabnaw ito, hindi nila to. They won't even endorse it. Diba? Ngayon, titignan natin dito sa impeachment trial. Kung talaga ba nagkasala si Sara Duterte o hindi. Kami, na nagtutulak nito, convinced kami na she doesn't deserve to be vice president. She doesn't deserve to be a public official even. So, kailangan niya managot dun sa mga kasalanan niya. Kasi nangyari sa akin yon. Back in 2007, nakakulong ako, di ba? Tapos, sige, we wanted to serve again. So, tumakbo ako, di ba? Without access to media, walang pera, walang machinery, nothing, ino-oppress pa ng gobyerno. Pero, nakachamba eh, no? The people saw something at yun ang naging resulta. Nanalo ako at yun na ngayon, ay embrace ko yun. This is my way of giving back or paying back dun sa tiwala na binigay na yon. At nakita ko mangyayari ulit yun. Kasi nakita ko yung mga botante natin, the electorate, naghahangad sila ng pagbabago. With what happened nung kay Pinoy, yun yung pinangahawakan ko. That it could happen to us. Merong makachamba tayo, then we will have a good 6 years na maayos natin institutions, aasenso yung bansa, maraming Pilipino aahon mula sa kahirapan. We only need a succession plan na effective 3 terms, mawawipe out na yung mga evil elements na yan sa politika. Magkakaroon na tayo ng bagong standard ng mga public servants, public officials. So we need that. So yun ang pinangahawakan ko, yung na makakatsamba tayo.